Welcome to The Explainer, everyone. Today, we're tackling something that's, frankly, one of the most misunderstood conditions out there. We're going to go beneath the surface and really look at the silent struggle of depression. What is it, actually? How does it hide in plain sight right in front of us? And most importantly, how do we find a real path to recovery? It's a heavy topic, for sure, but it's one that's absolutely rooted in compassion and ultimately a lot of hope. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to take just a second and picture emotional pain in your head. Like if someone's physically hurt, right? We usually see a cast or a bandage. Maybe they wince. It's obvious. But what does emotional pain actually look like? Well, the truth is, it often doesn't look at all the way we expect. Actually, most of the time, it just looks like everyday life. It's crazy because the visible surface is just incredibly deceiving. Literally right now, every single day, millions of people are walking around hiding this massive, invisible reality of emotional pain. On the outside, they seem totally normal. They're going to work, they're grabbing coffee, running errands, giving you a polite smile at the grocery store. But beneath all of that is this intense, silent struggle happening right under our noses, completely unnoticed by the people walking right past them. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it breaks down a huge misconception. We throw around the words sadness and depression like they're the exact same thing, but they are vastly different. Look at it this way. Think of sadness like passing weather. It's a temporary emotion, usually tied to something specific that happened. It rains, and then eventually the sun comes out. But depression is like a pervasive, fundamental climate shift. It's a serious systemic condition. If sadness is just feeling a little tired at the end of the day, depression is like trying to operate a phone with a permanently drained battery, where literally no amount of sleep or plugging it in actually recharges the device. It's absolutely crucial we break this down clearly. Depression is a serious medical condition. It's not just being sad, and it is definitely not some sort of personal weakness. This condition fundamentally hacks a person's entire operating system. It completely alters how they think, it dulls their emotions, saps their physical energy, puts massive strain on relationships, and completely derails daily life. It's a comprehensive medical reality, and it requires real understanding, not our judgment. And this brilliantly illustrates why it's so hard to spot, because depression doesn't have just one single face. It uniquely paralyzes people in literally all walks of life. It's the straight-A student who out of nowhere just completely loses the motivation to even look at a book, or the super loving parent who secretly feels emotionally empty inside. It's your coworker at the desk next to yours fighting total, crushing exhaustion and hopelessness while keeping up this perfectly practiced public smile. And because it's so wildly misunderstood, friends and family often just don't know what to do. So you end up hearing phrases like, "Oh, just choose to be happy," or "Come on, you just need to stay strong." And sure, these are usually well-meaning comments, right? But they show a complete misunderstanding of what's actually happening. I mean, you wouldn't look at someone with a broken leg and tell them to just walk it off, would you? For someone dealing with a systemic medical condition, these phrases aren't helpful. They actually act as toxic barriers to recovery. It just makes the person feel entirely unheard and unseen. And man, that feeling of being unseen, it is only amplified by the modern illusion of normalcy we've built online. In today's digital world, the social media filter is basically the ultimate mask. People are essentially forced to hide their deep, real pain behind curated digital perfection and these fake, rehearsed smiles. When you're struggling and you're just endlessly scrolling through everyone else's highlight reel, it makes your internal suffering feel completely abnormal, and that just deepens the isolation so much further. It really comes back to the classic iceberg analogy. Above the water, you've got the facade, posting online, showing up to class, smiling for the group photo. But below the surface, the part nobody sees, is this exhausting, incredibly heavy reality. For someone battling this, just the act of getting out of bed in the morning or trying to figure out how to reply to a totally simple text message, it can feel literally impossible. Their battery is stuck at 0%, but the world is still demanding they run at full power. Let's move to and see how this builds into our next section here, the lifeline, paths to true healing and recovery. Because as heavy as this invisible weight really is, there's a lot of hope. There are proven, concrete paths back to healing. It's built on actionable steps. Number one is empathetic support, which means totally replacing our judgment with deep, genuine understanding. Second is getting professional therapy, treating the condition with the actual medical and psychological care it needs. Third is slowly, carefully building healthy habits to start restoring that drained battery. And fourth,
Fostering honest conversations, just stripping away the social media masks, dropping the facade of normalcy, and finally talking about what's really going on.
Which brings us to one of the absolute most powerful tools any of us can use, active listening. And active listening isn't just, waiting for your turn to speak. It is the profound power of translating what people are saying into what they are actually feeling. It's paying way closer attention to the hidden meaning behind everyday words. You can offer incredible, real support simply by paying attention and just being fully present with them. So the crucial point is this. When someone who is silently struggling speaks up, it doesn't always sound like a loud crisis. Actually, a lot of the time, it sounds incredibly ordinary. Behind those simple, everyday words like, "I'm just tired," there might not just be a need for a quick nap. It might actually be a coded plea for help. It's a subtle signal that their emotional battery is completely, utterly depleted, and they just don't know how to recharge it anymore. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this thought. Look past the social media filters. Look past the public smiles and all those everyday facades. Take a second and ask yourself, who in your life might be quietly asking for help today? Because sometimes the absolute most powerful thing we can do is simply reach out, truly listen, and let them know they don't have to carry that invisible weight all by themselves. Thank you so much for joining me today. Take care of yourselves out there and take care of each other.